Embracing success and failure is something that is very key in running a campaign or any project and program. And a big lesson that I would want to share is taking the mental of responsibility when it comes to success and failure. We always anticipate success right up on our street when we are running campaigns, but there's an issue of failure that also comes in, and every leader of a campaign has to take that mental of responsibility that if there is success, we're going to celebrate with the team. If there is failure, we're going to go back to the drawing board and see how to navigate that space and that street and make sure the campaign comes back on track. And usually, you know, we have the success story written down. We have the speeches. We want to glow and bask in success, but sometimes that doesn't come our way as we would want. And I think it comes as well from there's something that we've been calling the vampire energy that always works in terms of us trying to run away from failure, because there is negativity, there may be comments, there may be actions that can actually sap our energy when we are running a campaign, and we call that vampire kind of energy, and usually we want to run away from it. And when we are running away from it, we run away from failure most of the times, because it makes us feel like we are failing, and we do not want to take responsibility that we are failing. I had moments that I felt that way from comments that were coming either from colleagues or from family. In some instances, it was also coming from the government, from the system, from the other side that we were trying to hold accountable. So you need to always be warding off the vampire energy, which sometimes make you run away from responsibility as a leader.
So one of the things that we did as an agency, cognizant of the fact that we may fail one way or the other, was to ensure that when we come to a point where we fail on one element of the many elements that we're executing on the campaign, we would do that with the full knowledge that we were successful in a lot of other things. So what we did is to create our execution plan in very small manageable steps that we could tick off. And for us, ticking the steps off was not just a habit of process, but it was worth celebrating. I remember one of the first things as we ignited the campaign was to say, do we have buy-in from the artists who we want to do the introduction of the campaign through a rhythm that we're going to ride on. So having 10 artists to say, yes, we're on board and we'll do it, let's tick that and let's celebrate that. Do we have the 10 songs? Do we like them? Do they need to be refined? Are we happy with the product? Let's tick that. So what we did is we created a series of small steps that we could tick, and it was always in anticipation that we'd find consolation when we fail on something and say, listen guys, we failed on 2 out of 10 so far. I think we're doing good. But when you don't recognize and when you don't celebrate the small successes, because this is a marathon, it's going to be a constant pace for a while. So when you don't recognize the small steps, when you don't celebrate them, it's easy to get dejected and to switch off when you face failure. And the anticipation is always gone. It has to always be that we may actually face the biggest failure than the collective of our successes. But you know, the human mind works that way. If we've celebrated 10 times, even though the magnitude of the failure is big, we may be able to overcome it by just looking at what we've done before, just looking at the 9 ticks that we had and we failed on the 11th. And just because we can celebrate the small steps, the 9 small steps we've done before the big failure, it doesn't discount the failure, but it gives us the energy to look within ourselves and say, we can do this. Let's go back to the drawing board. Let's go back to our manual. Let's go back to our manifesto. Let's go back to our why. Why are we doing this? This is a step we did not anticipate. It has happened. What did we have in our bag of tricks as a plan B? One of the things that we had for the whole campaign, even we had an alternative campaign. that if we realized this was not going to work or this wasn't working, we could switch it off overnight. That would cost a lot of money, but that would make the campaign go ahead. So I think as you run any campaign, whether for CSO, for public, for politics, or for business even, you must anticipate that you may actually fail, and you may be successful. And maybe you should embrace the failure, go back to your steps, go back to your plan and fix it, or take the win and graciously celebrate. I think that's how we did it.